What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first installment of the Wednesday show in On Offer on the Table. I'm here with Adam on the phone again. What's up, Adam?
What's Gucci?
So, as we said in our regularly scheduled program, as we like to call it, the ones that come out on Monday, we will be starting a shorter show on Wednesdays also, where we take an NBA team each episode, and we pick our all-time team for them, and then we compare and contrast them to the teams of today. So, as we promised, the first team on our list is the Toronto Raptors. So, Adam, would you like to do the honors of introducing our starters for the Raptors?
Sure. So, at the starting lineup, at the 1, we've got the pretty much only Raptor remaining, Kyle Lowry. At the 2, Tracy McGrady. At the 3, rocking with arguably the best Raptor of all time in Vince Carter. At the 4, a guy who really hasn't shown a whole lot in a while, but was tremendous for the Raptors in the early 2000s, Chris Bosh. And at the 5, their current center, Jonas Valanciunas.
All right. So, it may come as a shock to some people recently that we don't have DeMar DeRozan on their starting lineup, and we don't have, Kawhi Leonard. Well, I want to address the Kawhi Leonard situation first. He has not played a single game, and we don't know if he will. And we know he's not going to stay for more than a year at most. So, that's why he's not, spoiler alert, he's not even on the lineup at all. And DeMar DeRozan is on the bench, which is a good segue into our bench lineup, which is Damon Stoudemire as the backup point guard, DeMar DeRozan backup for Tracy McGrady, Jalen Rose for Vince Carter, and Antonio Davis and Bismack Biyombo in the front court. So, Adam, how do you think that this team fares in today's NBA? Because this team, when I look at it, not too much shooting. This is a Chris Bosh that when he played in Toronto didn't have a three-pointer like he did in Miami, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at this team, all in all, don't see too much shooting except from like Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter.
Yeah, and even then, those guys are slashers by nature, right?
So the three-pointer is a second option.
Bosh was still a shooter in Toronto, and I think he just, when he went to Miami, he stepped out of the paint more. I think he still was a talented shooter in Toronto, but I think he was more in the post as well. So
I think that was just their Miami's way, because I think they wanted LeBron to play more inside. So their situation, like the Cavaliers did, they had Kevin Love step out onto the 3-point line, which, by the way, a little interruption from this episode. We just wanted to say there has been news today that Kevin Love has signed a 4-year, $120 million to stay in Cleveland. We can talk more about that in our next episode that comes out next Monday, but we had to get that out of the way. But like you said, they had Chris Bosh. They utilized Chris Bosh more on the perimeter, like a lot of teams, or like any team that LeBron's played on, uses the other players around him. So yeah, but all in all, this team isn't superb from the 3-point line, and they obviously it's not their first option, like you said. Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, drivers the basket. They drive to the basket a lot more. So in today's NBA, it would be really difficult to get wins with this team, I believe. Even though they do have a major advantage, which is obviously post play and inside with Jonas Valanciunas and Chris Bosh. But again, not too much perimeter shooting, so that's a little iffy. And I don't know, how far do you think they could even make it to the playoffs?
That's a good question. And
because this team, I think, has the potential
to win it all. You mean, or to
make
it to the playoffs?
To make it to the playoffs.
Make it to the playoffs. I mean, for sure. But I don't think there's 8 teams better than them in the Eastern Conference. But what I do think is that this is a team that's built to really make it to the playoffs, and I think stomp their way through the Eastern Conference, because if we're going to be honest, today's Eastern Conference is not the strongest it's ever been.
Yeah, but they still have Boston and Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, those would be the biggest contenders.
McGrady, Carter, Bosh, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a talented team. That being said, I think in the finals, and obviously we've created it, so it's a deep team too. We didn't mention, but we also have Jose Calderon and Charles Oakley there as kind of two spot fillers for guys that would definitely be on an all-time Raptors team. It's definitely a team that would thrive. But in terms of, like, a real solid, like, team to win it all, I don't see this as a dynasty that I see in Golden State or that I saw in Miami a couple years ago with LeBron and Bosh and Wade. It's just not that kind of team, right? Like, we talk about, we'll talk about the Warriors here for just a point of reference. The Warriors, they basically make a living off of destroying from outside, right? Beyond that three-point line, Curry can pull up from essentially anywhere. Thompson, Durant, both sharp shooters. And I think that's where the league has kind of trended to in the last couple of years. And with this team, McGrady and Carter are two incredible players, and they definitely can shoot, but they're not that same caliber.
They're not natural shooters. They don't, you know, they would rather go inside and punish inside because that's what they do. And
I think looking at today's NBA, like, that's going to get old real quick. I don't think that, you know, that would help them out in the playoffs. I think they'd win probably a couple games in the finals, but this is not a team that I would see consistently taking championship after championship after championship.
You know, I think it's safe to say that every position in the NBA, except for the power forward position, I think would be an exception. A lot of teams are looking, like, as a prime stat for a player is a three-pointer. You know, centers are stretching out. You see Jokic, and obviously other notable centers. Obviously, we've talked about this before in our regular program that the lost art of a center, like a true center inside, has kind of been overshadowed by 3-point shooters of the same position. So I think that this team, I mean, Jonas Valanciunas can shoot the 3-pointer, but this team right now doesn't have the type of team that is, you know, that it would be built for today. Because a team that's built for today is a team that has 3-point shooters everywhere and has a threat from the outside everywhere. And I mean, that's just how the game is today. It's evolved to be a shooting game, and I don't know if it's less defense, but it's a lot. People are more interested in the offensive end. And this team, although with, like, Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter with their dunks and Chris Bosh with, you know, post fades and stuff, DeMar DeRozan also, not too exciting to watch, I think. Just like today's Raptors team. Especially with a monotone personality such as Kawhi Leonard going to be there. So, I mean, as far as in today's NBA, I think they would struggle greatly. It's a very good team, and I think that even though they're not fit, even though they're not built for today, they certainly have the power to. It's not like you can't win games if you don't have as many perimeter shooters as possible. It's just it's super difficult because, I mean, at the end of the day, threes are more than two, and you can't. It's fighting a losing battle. It's trying to win a losing battle by combating threes with twos. And I think that that's just how this team would try to overcome any other team.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So, how far down the road in the playoffs do you think they can make it? Because if we're looking in today's, because we both agreed that they can make it to the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, their biggest contenders right now is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics in the East. Would this team be able to beat any of those teams or both of those teams? Because Boston has shooting, obviously, and they have Kyrie Irving, which is, I don't think it's even arguable that he's not better than Kyle Lowry. It's pretty obvious that Kyrie Irving is better than Kyle Lowry. So they have that, and Gordon Hayward would struggle with defending Vince Carter, I think, or T-Mac, or whoever they decide to put him on. But I think that the Boston Celtics still would be able to defeat this Toronto Raptors all-time team.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
honestly, I don't think so. I disagree with that. I think that this is a Raptors team that is built that could beat the Celtics. But that being said, I don't think I see them making it like. I think they'll make it out of the Eastern Conference, but I don't think they'll win it all.
So you think they make it to the finals?
I think they make it to the finals. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that kind of the case with like any all-time team? Like, because every team has had at least a few really good players. So I'm sure that none of the teams we'll ever cover in this segment will be like complete trash. They would still be better than some other teams in the NBA. But like, I mean, you're gonna look at like the Warriors. That team is probably going to be one of the better teams ever, obviously. And also the Lakers and the Celtics, but we'll get into that in another episode. But the Raptors, you say they make it to the finals. You know what? I think that the Celtics and Philly is like a really evenly matched with the Raptors lineup, and I feel like they can they would give them a challenge. But again, as my closing remark, I think that the Raptors in an 82-game season, fighting night after night to try to combat twos with threes, I think that they would struggle greatly, and I don't think that they would have like a decent record. Like this year, they came in second, I think, in second seed in the East. I don't think they would make it that good of a seed, but they would still be. I think they would be okay. They would be able to win, I think, over 50 games.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you would like to say?
No, I think that concludes it for me.
So that's it for us. Tune into our regularly scheduled program to find out what our next team is going to be. But for now, peace, and we hope you enjoyed.